Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So today's deck profile for you is a pretty hot commodity right now in the Digimon meta. We're talking about Garurumon or MetalGarurumon X. This deck is super explosive. OTKs are a thing in this deck. They're actually pretty possible, but just the consistency. It's an X-Antibody deck, so you know we've got that incredible draw power as well as very nice search cards available to the deck. This deck is awesome. Really, first time we've seen Garurumon truly being like a meta forefront. We saw a little bit of blue back during like BT9 with Omnimon Rush, but even then it was still mostly just like, oh, let's go into Plesiomon so we can go into Omnimon. But now it's like full on. Garurumon is its own deck, and it is like really up there at the top of the meta, taking names. Like it really is. It's winning tons and tons of tournaments. Love this deck. So let's go ahead and get into this. Don't forget our new memory marker though this month is Gummymon. So if you're playing a green deck or you're just a Terriermon fan in general, this is a fantastic memory marker for you. This is handmade out of clay by my wife, hand painted face as well, super cute. Also complements our Kokomon if you picked up one of our Kokomons. Really great memory marker for sure. You can find this on our Etsy page, link in the description below. Also there you can find all of our previous memory markers that we featured on the channel, as well as some of our Battle Ready Ink merch. Alright, so I got the whole deck pulled up for you guys so you can kind of follow along and kind of see some of what we're going with. A lot of what's in here I would say is like fairly cookie cutter. I mean, because some of the stuff you got to run, right? I mean, it just makes total sense to run these cards. Everybody's going to run these cards. There's really no fluctuation in some departments, but then some areas you can get a little bit flexible for it. You notice our two end cards here at the very end is, I guess, what you would consider the spice of the deck. We've got a delicate plan in the Taikamias. That's just because we'll get into it, but the deck can survive security checks against getting deleted. It can survive getting deleted in battle, but it just completely falls short when it comes to options. So I think this is a pretty good include, a pretty nice tech. I don't know, maybe it's just because I keep going against all these decks, as well as myself, that's playing a lot of these security control style decks, and so I just see it everywhere, and I'm just like, yeah, this deck just hard loses to like BL Star and things like that. Security control in general, whatever type, whether it's like yellow hybrid recovery security control, or they're playing like the yellow purple security control, this deck really loses against those, so I got to tech these cards in here to go for the against those decks, and that's why I do have them in here teched, just because I think it's a really difficult matchup if you don't. So let's go ahead and do this card by card. First, we got the Sunomons in here. In the feature match, we were just running the Upamons, but I think the Sunomon, that extra 1000 DP is so huge. Like, yeah, you can survive battle, right? But you can only survive battle and security like so many times before you just run out of materials. And just having every extra little bit of DP actually can go a really long way. So I like the Sunomons for that. The second dairy egg we've got here is the Upamon, just for the extra draw power. But in theory, the turn that you promote up out of raising area is the turn that you're going to start swinging with things. Like, start swinging with your level 5s. You've already pretty much got everything you need in your hand. So, like, Upamon is the main focus, just not that great. But I think as a 5th egg, it's a pretty solid include. You could maybe work in something else that gives you a DP buff, but nothing else is quite as easy to get. First, we got the Gabumon here. We got to run all Gabumons pretty much because it's pretty pivotal to the X-Antibody. We've got the Searcher here, so it's the on play. You can add a reveal 3, add a Garurumon and an Omnimon. Anything with Garurumon in the name, so that's the whole Evo chain. And we've got one Blitz Omnimon worked in here, so almost every Searcher in the deck can grab us the Omnimon here. Also, you'll notice we're not playing any Cool Boy. I know it's weird, but the thought process is that you're going to be evoing in raising area for 2 of your 3 X-Antibodies. Well, I guess 2 of 4. I guess MetalGarurumon technically is in the deck, although half the time you don't even get to go into him because you already win. But yeah, no Cool Boy. So I sacrificed the Cool Boy for the ties here. There's other things. We could actually drop the blue memory boost for Cool Boys. Kind of get you the same thing. We'll talk about it, though. But yeah, so pretty much the whole deck is going to be able to add you anything you need. Next, or that searcher will add you anything you need. Next, we got the Gabumon here, just for a little bit more DP. Another a great, I mean, honestly, out of all the Gabumons you could Evo in Raising Area, this is your #1 target. Has the inheritable of if you have 8 or more cards, you get another 1000 DP. So this and the Sunomon puts all your stuff at plus 2k DP, which is pretty respectable, I would say, for what this deck has. And then we have the X-Antibody Gabumon, which is essentially you're just going to Evo this for 0 in Raising Area and draw a card. Like 9 times out of 10, that's what you use this guy for. But occasionally, you'll actually Evo this guy out on the field. You might even on-play him, but you can reveal 3, and you can add a Garurumon or an Omnimon, again, or an Omnimon in its name, and the X-Antibody option card among them to your hand. Just until recently, I finally got over that this is specifically the X-Antibody option, okay? One X-Antibody among them to your hand, not one card with X-Antibody in its type, okay? It's specifically referring to that card, as also these abilities. A lot of these abilities refer to this card specifically, and which we are running in here as well, so we can add that. If we hit it. Another flex spot in here, I've got 2 Madoki Betamons. I think this card is just really good in this format. It was really good last format. It's really good in this format, particularly against the Alphamon decks. Being able to turn off all that memory gain from their Dexes, from their Aoryukens. Aoryuken, when they Evo it, and usually pop something, it usually always pop something that's the largest thing on field. But usually, that's not Madoki Betamon. It's something else you have on your field. And so, Madoki's just, like, chilling there. Like, there's nothing you can do about me. Haha. Really great card that shuts down those Alphamon decks super hardcore. So, I really like it just kind of teched in. As well as just a generic, all-around good card. Memory blocker is always pretty solid. For our level 4s, we've got the Garurumon here. This is the promo one. If this Digimon has Garurumon in its name, trigger, draw 1 when attacking. A little bit more draw power. The deck really starts to pop off. You'll notice there's a lot of these cards that if you have 8 or more cards in hand, you get some bonus effects. When we get into the EX1 MetalGarurumon, it's all about for every 4 cards you have in your hand, you gain memory. So having multiple ways to gain or draw cards is super, super important. So this kind of just helping get us along there is pretty solid. To complement him, though, I do have the Garurumon, the when Digivolving, if it's on a Gabumon, you can gain 1 memory. Or if this has Gabumon in its Digivolution cards, I should say. So if you go on top of the X-Antibody, you can still get it because the X-Antibody should have Evoed on top of a regular Gabumon. But at the same time, most of the time that you're going to be Evoing, your level 4s is going to be in Raising Area, so you often don't get this. So this is why this one is at the lowest end of our Garurumons at only a 3 of, just because of that. But has the inheritable, though, of more DP power, so that is nice also. So either one, pretty solid targets to Evo onto either way. Even if you can't get that reduced Evo, it's still okay because you're still going to get more DP buffs. We have the X-Antibody Garurumon, though, and this is where things like, this is what really kind of actually makes the deck. This level 4, as well as both level 5s, is what makes this whole deck like a meta contender. So 0 Evo on top of your Garurumon, so that's another draw right there for 0 memory. And then inheritable, when this Digimon has Garurumon or Omnimon in its name and would be deleted in battle, you may trash 2 cards of the same level in this Digimon's Digivolution cards to prevent that deletion. So typically first you get rid of the rookies because they're the least important. If you're into your megas, then you're going to get rid of your level 5s probably, and then at the very end you'll get rid of your 2 level 4s. So that's 3 times you can survive with the Garurumon X-Antibody ability. That's a lot of security checks on a single stack. Mind you, that surviving 3 times in general, just maybe that's not the great, but in a single stack surviving getting deleted 3 times, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty awesome. So first up for our first level 5, we got the promo WereGarurumon that actually came in the same pack as that Garurumon there. When attacking once per turn, if this Digimon has Garurumon in its Digivolution cards, unsuspend this Digimon. So you're going to attack twice with this WereGarurumon here. And again, it's only 6,000 DP, but we've got 3 different possible DP buffs here, put him at 9,000, which is fairly respectable. He's surviving pretty much all level 5s and lower that he swings into in security, so that's super solid. Anything more than that, though, that's when the Garurumon X-Antibody comes into play for you and helps keep him alive. He also has the inheritable of 8 or more cards. Again, that 8 or more cards coming in handy there. Gain security attack +1 as an inheritable. So then you go into your WereGarurumon X here for 0 Evo on top of that WereGarurumon that you just attacked twice with. When Digivolving, unsuspend this Digimon. Cool. Awesome. Even if it was like, say it was the Garurumons that swung, you Digivolve into this guy, you can unsuspend. It doesn't have to, the unsuspend part isn't related to the WereGarurumon. But also then if WereGarurumon or X-Antibody, the option is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to his owner in hand. That's pretty good. That's like blockers and memory blockers. Like returning a memory blocker can actually be pretty huge because of our mega that we're going to talk about after this. So getting rid of like a memory blocker is really good, or just blockers in general. If you're going against, say, BL Star, right? They're level 4s. They love their level 4s to get deleted. Well, you just bounce those level 4s back to hand. They don't get their on deletion effects. They lose all their inheritables that have on deletion effects. Really, really cool card. WereGarurumon X-Antibody, super good there. So that's 3 attacks at this point that you can do. And then we have the MetalGarurumon here. When Digivolving, gain 1 memory for every 4 cards in your hand. Typically, you're going to want to have 8 cards in hand anyways by the time you go into your WereGarurumons. So this guy's basically a 2 Evo cost, potentially 1 Evo cost, or in a, best case scenario, if you're crazy late game, it could be a 0 Evo. It's a little bit less likely, but it could happen. But when attacking, if you have 8 or more cards in your hand and a Tamer in play, return one of your opponent's Digimon with an on deletion effect to the bottom of their owner's deck. That doesn't come up a whole lot. Like, again, it could come up against BL Star decks, but that's about it. Mostly it's the Digivolving for super cheap. That's what we really like. And then to go complement with it, and you'll notice our ratio is actually 2 of the old one and 3 of the X. Usually we have more of the base model and then less of the X-Antibody, but in this case, we don't always have to just Digivolve this guy on top of MetalGarurumon. We can just Evo this on top of WereGarurumon and be completely happy about it. 4 Evo cost here, not like the best, but you know what? It is what it is when you're using something like the X-Antibody option, swinging with the WereGarurumon, Evo into this guy mid-swing with X-Antibody option, and then his ability, when Digivolving, unsuspend this Digimon, and it gains blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. So you're going to swing, unsuspend, security check, passes to the opponent. Now you have a blocker on field ready to go that's unsuspended. Pretty nice combo there for sure, especially if you can't win off of it. Some of the more winning plays would be something like the Evo into the MetalGarurumon here for super cheap, and then you can Evo into this guy on top of him for 1, and then unsuspend and attack and do all that kind of shenanigans. If it comes up, if you can get that memory efficient. That doesn't always happen that way, but it could. Especially if you start the turn with WereGarurumon in raising, you promote up, swing twice, Evo into WereGarurumon, swing again for 0, and then you can Evo into the MetalGarurumon, the regular one here for, say 2, and then Evo into this one for 1. Now, then you swing with this one. It could happen. It could come up. Notice we are not playing any memory fixers either in this particular build. But again, they could be worked in very easily. We have the Blitz Omnimon for those rare occurrences where you can actually just go Blitz Omnimon for game. This deck isn't like a take too long. Like, you need to win as fast as possible. 1 Blitz Omnimon can definitely steal the game at any possible moment. So I'm a big fan here. Just a different kind of build. You could go with a little bit more blue option or blue tamers and then work in like some hybrids for game if you want. But I really like the Blitz Omnimon. This deck really performs well by Evoing all the way up into its mega. So why not just take advantage of Evoing all the way up into that mega of Omnimon here? You could even go into the MetalGarurumon here for super cheap and then go Blitz Omnimon on top of it for game. Whatever the case may be. Of course, we got the 2 Ice Wall, or the 1 Ice Wall, sorry. 1 Ice Wall is just a it's just a really bad, like, OP card. Ugh, it just gets me. 2 Cocytus Breath here. Just so many situations where Cocytus is so good. If you're dealing with like an Alphamon deck, Cocytus that stuff back to hand. If this gets hit in security against Alphamon, against Grandis, whatever the case may be, you just bounce all that stuff back to hand. It's a great, just dodges everything right now in the format. Gets rid of like Reaper, if they're coming in with all those security checks with Reaper, like it's a great card to have in security. But even if you just hard draw it, some cases just come up where you're like, man, Kikaitis Breath right here. If you saw the not the feature match, but the our locals finals from last week, Kikaitis Breath on Alphamon just like completely wrecked that whole deck. Had a massive stack ready to go into Our Yukon on their next turn, and then Kikaitis Breath, the level 6 back to hand, and just completely destroyed after that. So yeah, very good card. I got the blue memory boost in here. I don't really know why. I think it's a bit of a flex spot, honestly. You could totally drop the blue memory boost for either a memory fixer. You could work in Davis if you want, because Davis can search pretty much anything blue memory boost can search. Davis can search, and then you're set up with a memory fixer for the rest of the game. You can work in Cool Boy. Cool Boy's pretty fantastic, but his like searching is a little bit more niche. You're only going to be able to grab, those X-Antibody typings. And then a lot of the Evos you're going to miss on him. But I think a Davis actually would be a pretty good work in right here. There, go ahead and just throw him up in there. So instead of blue memory boost, you can run the Davis. Like the blue does help with consistency and helps you like with some really explosive turns later on. But honestly, I feel like the deck is really missing a memory fixer. It's like really, really solid to have a memory fixer in this deck, especially Davis, because Davis is just one of the best tamers that's ever been made into this game. After that, we've got the X-Antibody option. Just because this deck can attack so many times, like this is such a neat ability of this inheritable of effects that can't trash this as a distribution cards. That doesn't really matter too much anymore. But when attacking, this Digimon can digivolve into a Digimon card with X-Antibody and it traits from your hand for its digivolution cost. And this isn't once per turn, so like if that could somehow come up, that's really awesome. Just being able to evo into something mid swing, get that check, unsuspend if it's like the X-Antibody one here. Like just some really, really powerful combinations that you can do with this card. I think it's a pretty solid one. Also security, gain a memory, that's pretty great. It's just a cool card to include in this deck. Like this is like one of the very few decks that I actually worked this card into, just because it's such a like stomp when you swing with that level 5 Evo into the MetalGarurumon X, get that and then unsuspend, get that blocker, still get your security check because you swung mid attack. That's pretty fantastic. And then the last cards are the flex, big time flex spots. I've got the Delicate Plan worked in just because of what I talked about in the beginning. In the tie here, all of your Digimon get plus 1,000 DP. Again, just helps our Garurumons survive those security checks, making the need for for Garurumon X to be, like save that for when you really need it. Just every little bit helps to keep your stack alive here. And 2 play costs, super cheap, very manageable, and then it gives you access to a Delicate Plan. Originally, we had the Duo Tamer red and blue one, but it was too costly. That 4 play cost is just too much for how little times you got that return value on that memory gain. So we were trying to balance like, oh, you just run this one tamer and you don't need to run a memory fixer, but like the tamer just wasn't that great, especially early game. Like it was pretty decent late game, but early game it was just garbage. So I think just the tie for two play costs is pretty solid, and his effect is super good for this deck, helping it out. And a Delicate Plan just for dealing with the decks that you hard lose to. Like there's not a whole lot of decks you hard lose to, but the ones you do, you really need these cards for. And so I think that's what matters, is like anything else in these last 2 slots feels like a win more, where it's just, I could have more searchers. I could have blue memory boost here, more Davises and Cool Boys. Like, yeah, I can search out my combo pieces and get my combo, a little bit sooner, but against certain decks, it doesn't help you at all. Like, I don't care if you build up the same stack 3 times, you're still just going to get it deleted by security control. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. Like, you're just going to keep losing to that deck over and over and over. So then the Delicate Plan will help make up for that, I think. At least for me personally, that's how I see it, at least. Especially because the same stack swings over and over and over and over. If it was just like if you're flooding the field really wide, yeah, the Delicate Plan doesn't make sense. But the fact that you swing with the same Digimon like 4 times in one turn completely screams, hey, run a Delicate Plan, dummy. So it makes sense to me. So that's what I went with. Again, though, you could drop these guys here for just more consistency cards if you preferred, or the Kikaitises for more consistency cards. But like, man, when these cards come up, boy, do they come up like super, super important. But yeah, that's the deck. If you have any cards that you run instead, definitely let me know. If anyone's running maybe the Omnimon X-Antibody, I'm definitely curious about that, because you could run that and then like maybe drop some of the Kakaiduses and Ice Balls if you've got that Omnimon in there maybe. I just think these cards are a little bit easier to use than that guy.